and I really wanted to do something. I wanted to make change. And I think that taking WGSS classes gave me the language to be able to name the problems I was feeling and seeing, in addition to showing me what strategies might not work at the expense of others, right? The intersectionality curriculum was incredibly helpful in being able to make sure that the change I wanted to enact wasn't harming other people.
So in undergrad, I had the opportunity to participate in the Ohio Prison Education Exchange Program, which is a program designed to build more realistic pathways to higher education for incarcerated people and kind of, bridge that gap and kind of create compassion between people who are incarcerated and people who aren't. So I took this class with Dr. Thomas at the Ohio Reformatory for Women in Marysville. The class is called Feminist Perspectives on Incarceration, and I have this well rehearsed because I talk about it in every interview that I have. So that class was really transformational for me, for sure. First, the content of the class, the academic side of it, was really moving. I had never really had the occasion to kind of question the role that prisons and jails play in our society. And so that was the first time that I'd ever encountered these abolitionist ideas and got to challenge the idea that, people who commit crimes deserve to go to prison and that prisons are inevitable. And so, on the one hand, that was really great knowledge built in education for me. And then on the other hand, it was really a great experience to be able to interact with people who were incarcerated, who had experienced, all the terrible effects that the criminal justice system and incarceration can have on people and their families for the rest of their lives. So now, when I'm looking towards what I want to do in the future with my law degree, I always think back to OP.
I was thinking about what I wanted to do post-graduation, and I loved reading. I really cared about social justice, and I thank the Women's Studies Department for introducing me to reproductive justice as a concept coined by Black women that really, for me, serves as the connective lens for all of the issues I care about, from reproductive rights to criminal justice to immigration, everything that I cared about. And I also had the opportunity to take, while I was a student, a Women in the Law class. And I didn't know any lawyers. No one in my family was a lawyer. And I, in that class, saw that for all the issues we were talking about and all of the things that we were pissed off about in class and that we would debate and discuss, it seemed to me like the people who were making those changes were a lot of lawyers. And so I was like, okay, I'll go to law school. And I think later on we'll talk about, advice. And I'll just say now, you don't have to go to law school to make those changes. And I wish, I was very naive. But for me, I was like, we're going to go to law school.
It is completely fine if you have no idea what you're doing on day one, and it's also fine if you have no idea what you're doing the day you graduate. And I say that because I really had no clue what I was going to do with my life until I found Planned Parenthood, and I realized, oh, they're not just a healthcare provider. You can advocate as a full-time job, and I don't know, you can get paid for that? That's crazy. So it's okay if you don't have it all figured out. It's okay if you fail that class. I failed 3. I'll say that. And I'm not ashamed to say that either because it worked out. And the other piece of advice I would say is fake it till you make it. I did not go to school for communications or social media or marketing or nonprofit management. And I do all of those things. I do all those things every day. And you figure it out beyond the degree that you get. You keep going. You learn new things, whether it is getting your master's, getting a law degree, or just different kinds of life experiences. You will figure it out.
So I went on to work for Innovation Ohio, which is a progressive nonprofit downtown, although most of us work remote. And that's actually started with a WGSS internship here. that evolved into a fellowship, that evolved into a full-time job. And I do a whole lot of stuff there. I do research and communications and social media. And I think that having such a wide interdisciplinary approach to learning really helped me be able to kind of be a jack of all trades at my job, and sometimes nonprofit work requires that.
I thought I wanted to be a professor of WGSS. That was my only goal. I was like, I love teaching, I love theory, and then museums were not on my radar. I didn't really know what the Smithsonian was doing when I was an undergrad, and I only just applied to that internship because one of my friends in the history department forwarded me the email and was like, you should apply. And so you definitely don't have to figure it out, but I do think that what you learn in the classroom, if you have the privilege and the time to be able to flex that in clubs or in praxis, that I think is worthwhile to do, because then you'll be able to apply it in the workforce.
I have the privilege of being able to inform people of two really important things. The first is the healthcare that is available to them in an ever-changing landscape where, you know, something is legal one day and not the next. Something is covered by Medicaid one day, but not the next. And really helping them understand what that means and how to continue accessing that care, whether it means in your backyard or it means traveling 3 states. And the other part of my role that I really value is being able to help people understand how to participate in their democracy. Whether you have grown in academia or you are someone who, finished college and you're working a 9 to 5, you're raising a family, regardless of where you come from, you do have a place in getting involved in your community, even if it's, something like going to a city council meeting. And really just breaking down those barriers, taking really complex legislation, taking something like the reconciliation bill that passed in July and saying, okay, hey, here's how this impacts you, here's what this means, and here's what you can do to fight back. And so, I've stayed in the reproductive health rights and justice space for the last 8 years, but I really was able to get involved through my time at WGSS. And really what I would say to anybody who is looking to get involved, whether it is, repro rights or, something similar in the progressive field, is just make those connections. Like, yes, it's incredibly important to write that paper, read that book, have that class, but if you want to be impacting people, real people every day, you have to talk to them. You have to go to the local library and go to that community meeting. You need to talk to your neighbors. You need to get their perspectives, hear their stories. You need to listen to learn, not listen to respond. And I would say, that is something that I deeply value. I know a lot of people in this room value.
I still get to, advocate for voting rights and to really help people know all of their voting rights in Ohio, because the law changes here regarding voting way too much. Voter ID has changed here multiple times in the last decade. And getting to, educate people and do research on what could help people gain voter access more readily has been great.
To be the person who can stand up next to people who have been accused of committing crimes and say that this person is worthy of dignity and respect, and I don't care what they did or what they can do or if they might have done it or not, regardless, like, they are a person that is worthy of dignity and respect and the full constitutional protections that they are afforded, and being able to kind of bridge that humanity gap a little bit. And so OP directly led me to where I am today.
So like my women's studies, really, I think similarly, it implanted like a boldness in me to ask for what I want and speak out when I don't think things are right. And so I got a grant to extend the Women's Advocacy Project with an intersectional lens to bring in speakers and to talk more about intersectionality at this law school, where People needed like whatever comes before a 101.
Be able to show what feminism can do for you, and how you can use it for change. And I think that being able to apply that, like we all have in our careers, is really meaningful and kind of gives you a lot more, I mean, I hate to say it, like credibility with others to be like, no, like my degree matters, even if it sucks to have to prove that. But I think we're a good testament to how that does matter. So definitely flex your WGSS muscles when you can.